Muskegon Channel. It's Andy O'Reilly, and I am back down at the Muskegon Central Fire Barn. I know you're not supposed to call it the Fire Barn anymore, but that's what it is to me. I've got Dave Glotz back from Muskegon Charter Township, and Sean Grabinski is here. She is the head of Central Dispatch in Muskegon County. And I called these guys back up because we did a story a couple of weeks ago on
Surcharge.
Surcharge. It's not a millage. It's not any of that kind of stuff. It's a surcharge that's being asked for in this election coming up to help provide these people with the tools they need to get the job done.
Absolutely.
And anytime you ask for money, trust me, I know, a world of stink follows. And there is so much misinformation out there and so much incredible. People just don't even know what they're talking about. What I see and hear and read and everything on social media and all this other kind of stuff. I asked for this interview to bring you guys back in to start to dispel some of these stupid rumors that are going on and talk about the very nuts and bolts of what this is, why it's essential, and why this needs to pass. So welcome back.
Well, thank you very much for reaching out and helping us out.
There's a lot of gray area here.
There is.
It's highly technical. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Right.
And there is. And like anybody, I mean, we live here. This affects us just as much as anybody else. Me, I've got 6 phone lines. And I mean, so to me, that's going to jump my bill up considerably. And it is, and they're not even all in this area. I've got 2 phone lines that are not even in the county that I pay for. But they're going to come on my bill, and that's just what I have to do to make sure that we've got the services that are needed, that we don't fall behind, and we don't end up on that island of ill communication in the state.
Right. And absolutely, that's what we're concerned about, is some of the miscommunication that's going on, the non-factual information.
Sure.
We're still encouraging our citizens to reach out to us, to get the facts, not rely on social media.
Right.
For all the questions that they have or the negativity that they're hearing out there.
Nobody wants to pay more.
Nobody wants to pay
Nobody.
more. Even I.
Nope.
I'm going to pay more too.
Yes.
I have 4 cell phones in my house, a landline, so we have
get
the
it.
same ideas. But I understand how important it is for our responders who are out there on the scenes, that when they radio into dispatch, that they have the communication that is essential for them to get the necessary help to the citizens.
First and foremost, the cost. Everybody's all up in arms because it's going to be up to $275.
Correct.
Talk about that.
Yeah, the up to $275 includes the current 42 cents that everyone's paying.
Okay.
So realistically, you're looking at an up to $2.33 increase. That's an up to amount. We evaluate that annually, every year, to make sure that the projects that we are doing can be covered with the funding. If we don't have the necessary funding, we can't do the project. So like you take a loan out on a car, you have annual or monthly payments.
Sure.
We're going to have the same challenge with the $21 million radio project.
Sure.
And because it takes so long to start that collection, we won't see any true annual fees until 2020. So we got to get this on the books to start collecting it, to generate that funds to make that first annual payment on that.
Talk about the longevity of this, because once it's done, will this continue to be a collection?
We can still have a surcharge. We've had a surcharge for the last 10 years or so.
Okay.
But the difference is different than a millage. The surcharge is evaluated every year. So after a couple of years, we've started making those loan payments or paid off the MCTs or other projects that we've outlined in our facts or FAQs, then we will pay those loans or debts down. We don't need to continue to collect that up to $2.33 additionally.
Sure.
We're going to need the 42 cents to continue operating what we currently are operating.
Yep.
So really, we're looking at $2.33 to cover that $26 million worth of projects.
Talk about the building itself. That was one of the things I heard pop up too. People are like, well, there's all kinds of buildings around Muskegon. Can't you just go buy something from the land bank and work with that? No.
Yeah, that's been a really...
You can't.
That truly has been, even though it's probably one of the lower percentage costs of the project, it's the one that receives the most attention.
Sure.
But yet we can't just throw dispatch into any building.
Right.
First and foremost, as I've explained before, severe weather comes through, especially as, say, a tornado warning. Our fire stations, our procedure is to empty the building.
Right.
Because they're not built, even the fire station not built to withstand in Muskegon Township the forces of the tornado.
Sure.
And if all of our equipment is sitting inside, we've lost everything.
Yeah.
So we will move out into an area where it's out of the path. Muskegon Central Dispatch cannot just up and move out
No.
if a tornado's coming at them. So the building they have to be in needs to be hardened to be able to withstand what is the typical severe weather that we may see. You know, we're not talking hurricane strength around here, obviously, but what do we typically see? And you want to build in a margin of safety in there
Sure.
and ensure that the structure we're in is going to sustain those severe weather situations. That's one piece of it. And then all of the technology that comes into this. I mean, this is truly the heartbeat of emergency communications for the entire county. We're talking phones, we're talking computers, we're talking radios. All of those things require connectivity, wiring, electricity, cooling,
Generators.
and we want redundancy. We don't have the luxury of, oh, my cable's out, I guess
Right.
when I get around to fixing it, we'll be okay.
Right.
We can't afford to go down.
Most homes even have a generator in them.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say most, but quite a few.
Quite a few. And
Yeah.
our citizens can't afford to have 911 go down.
Right.
So there's a lot of additional requirements to ensure that we have that reliability, that it doesn't fail.
What about the questions that are coming up that this is just some other government shell game? That it's, you know, oh, they're trying for all this money and they're gonna push it to this and they're gonna push it to that. Explain that again.
Right, the surcharge money, 911 surcharge money by statute can only go for services for 911. It
Yep.
can't be a shell game, as people have indicated, it's gonna go pay for this or pay for that. The state audits that money and makes sure and ensures that the 911 centers are using those funds appropriately. If
Right.
not, they'll take the funds back or lower our surcharge. They've caught municipalities that are government run by their local county that have used that money as a shell game and not used it for 911, and they've taken the money back. So our state 911 coordinator, administrator is very proactive in making sure the dollars are spent for 911.
Yeah, so it can't be any of that stuff that,
Can't be used for anything other than to provide 911 services.
that's it.
Yeah, and again, with Central Dispatch being its own authority,
Absolutely.
it's not part of another unit of government that they can play that shell game.
Right.
The money that comes into 911 stays with 911.
So this is, I mean, we gotta get, and money's gotta start coming in until 2021, we can actually start get this thing working.
Yeah, it's gonna take us, the statute allows for us to notify the state if the surcharge is passed. We have to notify the state by May 1st
Okay.
of 2019. The collection rate has to be started by October. Some vendors can start in July. But in order to see that full annual for my full budget, to
Yep.
see those funds, a full year won't be actually felt until 2020.
Wow. So it's
So-
gonna be a while.
It's gonna be 2
It's a
years
building
from
process,
today.
and this is community taking care of itself.
That's correct.
Yeah.
This is not covering up some other deficit somewhere
No.
in a line item someplace else and all of this.
Nope.
This is us looking out for our own people.
Yeah, this is
Absolutely.
all about capital infrastructure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Something we have to, and where do we compare? I guess this would be my final question, unless you guys got things that you want to bring up. Where do we compare compared to other counties around us when it comes to this kind of surcharge for this service?
That's great. That is a great question. That is one of the questions we
That's
get
what I
out
do.
there.
I come up with great questions.
Great.
Yeah.
That's why I'm making the big
Great
bucks.
minds.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who are asking the question, why aren't we asking for the same amount that Kent County asked for? You know, Kent County recently had a surcharge passed to do an 800 project. They're around the $1.20-ish mark, I think, but they have 650,000 people.
Sure.
So they're gonna have more devices, so they can have a lower surcharge rate because they have more citizens. We only have 173,000, so our collection rate needs to be higher to generate the same kind of funds that both counties are doing as far as an 800 project goes.
Right?
So, and I know.
Nuevo County.
Nuevo County is asking in November for an additional surcharge increase of about $1.05. They're trying to go to the $3 maximum.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're staying under the maximum.
We're staying under the maximum. We're going up to 275.
So good.
Yeah.
Good. Final thoughts?
I think one of the other things that has been out there is that we're trying to build a system different than the state system.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And no, we are joining the state system, but there's only 2 towers in our county that are on the state system.
Sure.
In order to ensure that we have good, clear, reliable communications, we need additional tower structures. So the towers that are going to be added will be added to the state system, not our own system that's separate. So I think it's another one that's been a little confusing for some folks, and that's huge. We are joining that system, that's the intent, but we can't do it on the 2 existing towers.
Sure. Sean?
Absolutely. No, if anybody has additional questions, we really want them to give us a call to answer those questions directly and
Yeah.
not rely on
Hearsay.
misinformation or
And
hearsay.
there's a lot of it out there.
There is a lot of it out there.
Nobody wants to pay more for anything, and I mean, nobody does.
Right.
But, you know, when you start seeing that smear and that kind of, that slant that people like to put on things, and there's so much out there anymore, you just don't know what to believe.
Absolutely. It
So we
is.
thought we'd follow up. This is essential. This is something
It
we
is
have to
essential.
have. And it's something that we can't, and sooner or later, I mean, what, the worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario is that we'll remain on outdated equipment that's
Yep.
not gonna be serviceable. Our first responders may have to rely on cell phones to communicate if the radios can't get back to dispatch.
Right?
And in an emergency, sometimes those cell phones aren't gonna work either because they have the limited coverage
Yeah.
for cell phone coverage.
Scary
Yeah,
stuff.
It
some,
is scary.
Some of us who's been around on the early days of this system, we weren't able to use a portable to talk to
Right.
dispatch.
Right?
It really was through a mobile. We could find ourselves back in that boat.
Wow. Crazy stuff.
It is crazy.
Well, we want to give you the whole rub, and we want you to know that this is just essential stuff. And like I said, nobody wants to ask for more money. I don't know of any municipality or school district or anything that comes out asking for more money just because it's a fun thing to do.
Right.
It's not at all.
It's a lot of work.
Got any questions? Get a hold of Sean. Get a hold of, well, Chief, you're probably out busy doing important things with wonderful people.
I've handled quite a few
Have
phone
you?
calls as
Good
well.
for you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get you linked up again, too, to the site that'll tell you all about this stuff. This is essential, and we need you to get out and vote coming up Tuesday, November 6th. If you want to keep the town safe, help these guys out with it's a
911 surcharge.
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 I always want to say millage, but I'm just wrong.
Big
So do I,
difference.
but I get
I know,
smacked every time.
I know, and I've seen her in action. I ain't going to mess around. All the details are right here on the Muskegon channel. Make sure you get out there and vote.